So today I want to go over some color words, some color terminology. And I know it's a review for many of you, but there might be some people that need this review or don't know this terminology. So first of all, the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And as you'll see in a moment, there's many different varieties of red, yellow, and blue. So we'll talk about that. And then when you mix any two primaries together, you get a secondary color. So that's kind of what's going on the color wheel. You have red, yellow, blue, and then if you mix any two together, neighboring colors, you'll get the secondary color that's in between those. I will have some blank ones of these if you guys want to try and make your own little mixtures with just the primary colors. The intermediate colors then would be the ones in between, and if I can get this other color wheel, so you would say the primary name first, so this would be yellow orange, and the secondary second. This would be blue green because it's halfway between blue and green. Complementary colors are kind of important to know about. They're colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So the Christmas colors, the Halloween colors, the Easter colors, maybe you can think of it that way. Whenever you mix them together, you get a dull brown or gray. Or if you want to mute a color a little bit and make it not so bright, you can add a little bit of the complement. Analogous colors are neighboring colors on the color wheel. So especially when you get into the intermediate ones, these would be analogous colors and makes a nice color scheme in a painting. So red, orange, orange, and yellow, orange. And then monochromatic, it's an artwork that's done mostly in variations of one color. To go on, the word value means how light or how dark it is. So if you have a pencil drawing, you can get all the way from very, very dark to very, very light, and the values create the forms. But in watercolor, you can also get dark and light colors, and it depends on not only the actual color you use. We have some colors that are just by nature more are darker, and then add water to it and it makes it a tint a little bit lighter. Color temperature refers to whether it's warm or cool, so the fire colors and the water or the icy colors. And then intensity refers to how bright or dull it is. So again, if you have a very bright red and you want to lower the intensity, you add a little bit of green to it, little complementary color. And the same with green. If you have a super bright green that looks too garish for a plant or a landscape, add a little tiny bit of red. Okay, so I'm going to show you with the colors that I suggested everybody buy, and I have my palette all set up here and my sponge, and I've pre-wet these colors with a little spray bottle of water. So we're gonna start with, I think I'll start with yellows. So we have two yellows that I suggested. New Gamboge is a little bit more toward an orangey color. So it's more right here. So this is New Gamboge. It's definitely a yellow, but you can see it's more closer to a school bus yellow. Then we have lemon yellow. And that's a little bit more toward green. So we've got those two. Okay. And next we'll do the reds. And one of my favorite reds is sort of a magenta. It's definitely more of a purpley red. So that's called permanent rose in Winsor Newton colors. You can also call it quinacridone rose, is very similar. And here's another Winsor Newton brand color. It's Scarlet Lake, and it's quite orangey. So that one would be heading more toward a warmer red. So we got the cooler red and the warmer red. And then there's some fun ones that are just sort of in between. For example, there's this one by Cheap Joe's. I love his titles that he has. This is called Red Hot Mama. So it's more of a, it's a little on the warm side, but it's more of a neutral red. There's lots of different blues. Ultramarine is very purpley. And it's also one of our dark colors. And then we have Cobalt. And that is also pretty neutral. It's maybe right here. So a little bit heading more toward green than purple. Cerulean, then we've got our definite turquoisey colors. Here's cerulean, right here. I have to keep looking at my little cheat chart. There's cerulean. So you can see it's really getting more turquoisey. And then finally, one of my favorites, this is I think it's a Holbein brand color, and it's Peacock. So that's right here. That's a nice color. Okay, so we're going to put these aside. So thinking about that and the mixtures, we're going to make the secondary colors, but you'll notice a big difference in how they act. If you can imagine that if you choose a red and a blue that are heading more toward purple, you'll get a brighter purple. If you get a blue and a red that are closer to being complementary colors, and as I said before, complementary colors will make a dull color, then you'll get a purple that's quite a bit grayer. So let's try the orange first. I'm going to get a new bowl of water. So we'll try mixing scarlet. Well, let's actually start with lemon yellow. We'll try mixing lemon yellow with permanent rose. So this is a greenish kind of yellow, and permanent rose is a little bit more of a purpley. So they're getting closer to opposite on the color wheel. So let's see how we do on that. And again, depending on how much of each, you can get more of a yellow orange or a red orange. So this is lemon yellow and permanent rose. Not bad. It's a decent orange. Okay, so we'll now switch to New Gamboge and Scarlet Lake. So we're getting closer to actual orange here. So here's New Gamboge. And here's, let's get Scarlet Lake here. There's Scarlet Lake. So that's a bit of a brighter, but not too far off. I don't see a whole lot of difference in the oranges. Okay, I think you'll see a big difference in the greens though. If we do ultramarine blue and New Gamboge, ultramarine is close to purple and New Gamboge is closer to orange, so they're getting almost opposite. So you can expect that you won't get a real bright green, not a color wheel green, you'll get more of a army green. So we're going to take ultramarine blue and New Gamboge. And it doesn't really matter how much of each you add. You're never going to get a bright green. You can see it's quite of an olive green. If I put a little more blue in it, it'll get more of a blue or olive green, but it's not going to be bright. Okay, so let's try two that are closer on the color wheel, the lemon yellow and the turquoisey one, let's say peacock, which was the one that was quite turquoise. If you remember, this was peacock. So we'll do lemon yellow and peacock blue. And we probably would have had a similar result from lemon yellow and cerulean. So a little bit more. So there's a little bit more of a color wheel green. Definitely different than that. And then you'll see a big difference in the violets too. If we take Scarlet Lake, which is quite a bit orangier red, and Peacock, which remember was up here toward turquoise. Again, they're close to being opposite on the color wheel. So here's the Peacock, and here's Scarlet Lake. Let's get a little Scarlet Lake here. So it's more of a maroon. And if we add more Peacock, it'll get more of a purpley maroon. It's not going to be, it's going to be more of a grayish kind of purple. So now let's try ones that we would expect to be a little bit brighter. So Permanent Rose is closer to purple, and Ultramarine, which is a blue that's closer to purple. So here's Permanent Rose and Ultramarine. Here's Permanent Rose, Ultramarine. Try and get them about half and half. And there you have a really bright purple. If we want to go more of a reddish purple, reddish violet, then we add a little more of the red. And so you can see the difference. So depending on the temperature of your primaries, you can get quite a bit of a difference in how your mixtures turn out. So if you were doing the color wheel, you would want to only use primaries, but you can use different primaries like I just did. You would probably want to use Permanent Rose and just either one of the yellows, and then maybe Ultramarine or Cobalt Blue, and then try and get the brightest mixtures you can, the ones that came out the best, like the Lemon Yellow and Peacock, the Scarlet Lake and New Gamboge, and the Permanent Rose and Ultramarine, to get the brightest colors you can get. Okay, hope that helped.